Hey, that one.
Honey, even if we did a park stuff here,
Are you gonna be there Friday for,
okay. I've already checked it out.
We're talking about that 25,000 population.
I'm talking
That's
about
right.
In less than 20 years, we'd have to bulldoze the whole town and build
art of giving.
Well,
You couldn't build fast enough.
that's amazing.
We get probably there.
Would you stop putting my name to that? Like, oh, it's 6 o'clock.
All
It
right.
is 6 o'clock, and it is time to open our workshop. This is the Town of Trophy Club Town Council, and we will be focusing today on the park plan, and it will be directed by Chase. We do have a quorum. I will say that Jeff is out for personal reasons, and we're glad to see everybody. And by the way, you can put these flowers down, but they're a little Christmas red. They also look pretty to the camera.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Where are your cookies?
Cookies are right over there in that room.
Okay.
There's,
All right,
homemade red velvet cookies in there for y'all.
All right, we are ready for workshop. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Really excited to be up here tonight and go through this workshop because this really brings in a little over the last 12 months. Going through, looking at our park system, talking with the community, there's so many different things that we've done over the 12 months that I want to give just some recognition, not only to the town staff, but also to our consultants with Park Hill, that we've spent a lot of time walking, analyzing, going through not only our community parks, but also Trophy Club Park, a lot of GIS mapping, a lot of touch points of meeting the community where they're at to be able to get their thoughts and their ideas, as well as doing our community surveys, everything there, to bring into a report that is something that can help start us on that guide of developing our parks and our trails and our outdoor spaces for the community here for the future. A couple of things that I want to touch on before we go right into this is on page 15 under the executive summary. One of the things that you'll see throughout this document is that we also tie this back to the strategic plan that we've all worked on the past 2 years of being able to get the strategic plan in place for the town, that as we go forward and we look at from year to year what staff is working on, what councils, boards, everyone is working towards, and then being able to integrate that into our Parks and Rec master plan so that we make sure that this plan of the things that we're proposing as far as projects, policies, procedures, things like that, that they're in line with the overall strategic plan that has been adopted. And so a couple of the priority recommendations that have come out of this hit on inclusive play and comfort upgrades, looking at, making our spaces available for all ages and abilities, as well as trail and connectivity improvements. And then also, what is our identity and our wayfinding of getting into our parks, finding our spaces where we want to recreate, as well as looking at our activity center and what, the future of that, not only as a building and as a project, but what that program looks like. And then also looking to the sustainability of that, because we love our community. We know that it's a unique community. And so being able to sustain these things, that when we make these improvements, that we're able to have them for generations. So with that, I do also want to address a little bit on the page 23 when it talks about the demographics and growth projections. What we're talking about with this, with our community, is in all master plans, it is a standard to have a growth projection for your community. And these are done by national standards. So we know when we are looking at all the communities across the nation and they're doing their growth projections based on the census data, a lot of the federal organizations don't take into account all the growth and expansion in communities, or if they're completely built out, things like that. And so in that paragraph where we talk about the population projection, you'll see on there we have the we have 3 different categories there. One is the high growth rate, the average growth rate, and the low growth rate. That's based on the Census Bureau. One of the other things that we looked at was looking at the American Community Survey and what their projections are based against the census. Now, we know that Trophy Club is unique, and so to make sure that our demographics and our growth are on par with what we see on a state level, that's why we added in the Texas Water Development Board projections. So as you can see, that's that blue number of 14,391, which is on par as we look at the current developments of building out. That's really the number that we see our community growing and sustaining at. And so being it a standard, that's why we've included these in here, is because those are things that as we go for whether it's state or federal grants, that they're gonna have a check mark. Do they have their demographics and growth projections? We've got that checked out. But we have a more realistic going off that Texas Development Board projection.
Question
Can I,
about
can I stop you right there for a second?
Yes.
Chase, because to me, this is key to the entire report, and you and I had a chance to talk about it. I agree, and if you look at the numbers, that number of 14,000, whatever it is,
Correct.
is what we would feel is a realistic number. I would feel is a realistic
Yeah.
number. But everything in the report is based off of the median population, the 18,000, whatever number that is. The charts, all that kind of stuff. Am I correct? Because all of the information after that talks about the median population.
So that's using the census demographics as far as like our race and ethnicity breakdowns and everything.
But it also refers to park usage per population, per 1,000 people. So per 1,000 people, if you're using 18,000 as one divisor versus what we are thinking we're agreeing at 14,000, it shows a much different picture. And the paragraph on, at least in the chart here, understanding population growth is essential for planning future housing, transportation, and infrastructure needs. This information, blah, blah, blah. 100% agree. Everything I'm reading, unless I'm reading it wrong, is based on that 18,000 median population. So if that's the number we're using, then maybe you guys can help put this together.
So
I'll put it to you I'll just be simple about it. This is a very expensive, almost 300-page report. I need somebody that can guarantee me that those numbers don't matter in the other 286 pages in this thing, period. I need 100% for what we're going to be using this for and for the usefulness that we hope that it has moving forward over a number of years. We have to make sure that invalid numbers do not serve as inputs. This thing's full of numbers. I love numbers, by the way. It's full of numbers, but I don't have assurance that the numbers that I know are not valid for Trophy Club aren't somehow serving as an input for some of the other sort of projections or conclusions or forecasts that are on here. Secondly, if we need to have a page in a document to check a box to get a grant, does it have to include the data that we know is bad, or can it include the data we know is good? If we're going to submit a grant, we need to check a box that say we've done a demographic study. Shouldn't we annotate that and make sure people understand that we've done a demographic study based on valid data? I mean, this makes us look dumb. It makes us look bad to have anything projected that high. So I just want to make sure that we are course correcting, that the numbers in here are right. I want to be able to, because there's a lot here, and I mean, you can't really do much with it if you're not sure, if you're not confident in the inputs. And that's a rough thing for page 23 out of 300 to be. I mean, even if 18 is the median over 14, which is generous, that's still almost 25% overshoot.
Can I jump in here?
yeah,
If you look on page 89, it says that while the TWDB projection represents the most conservative yet realistic outlook, the town will use the full range to remain flexible, aligning facility upgrades, blah, 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 blah. And my concern with that is if you're gonna use the full range, does that mean more cost? If you're using that number?
Well, it's bad data. We can't use bad data for inputs on something this complicated.
That sentence is a concern.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I'm concerned that this got to this point.
So with this, when we're talking about the demographics, and on all those, we talk about the 2023 estimates. So that's what we're currently basing off of. And when we talk about the really important things in these documents, when we go through, we look at what our current inventory of parkland is. We know that we have, I believe it's 4 areas that are undeveloped that are currently owned by the town, and we don't see much more as we're 98% built out of more parkland being dedicated to the town. And so when you look at those, and back to your question, Rylan, about does it affect our future development? The projects are based off the information that we got from the surveys of what the community has said that they want to see, which is our current population. And then also looking at what areas do we have that are undeveloped, that some of these other amenities that they're looking for, that we were able to incorporate into those spaces. And then with Trophy Club Park, that's based off, we do have some input from individuals that have visited the park. But when you look at, is that median of 18,000 influence what our current system is? The short answer is no, because we have a limited amount of properties that the town owns and that we can develop for future use. The big majority of these projects are looking at our current parks and what we can do to improve those for the future. Because I fully believe that with the Texas Water Board, that's where our projection is going to be, and that's where we're going to be able to develop these parks for the future. And so, does that answer your question?
Well, it does, but you say that, but then everything else beyond that talks about this median population.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
The graphs are based on that?
Yeah.
The data's based on that?
I think all the graphs are based on, the graphs that base anything based on population are basing it off of, like Chase was saying, off of current year population numbers on there. I don't think anything is using the median number to base for the standard of comparing, how many acres of park or things like that. All of them are current year numbers. I'm gonna go back with the idea of, on Ryland's question, which was, is this an input anywhere that results in an output?
Right.
Right? And I'm just looking at I don't think that there's an input anywhere that says median number as a result, here are the median outputs. Or, like, our plan does not have like a growth section, right? And to meet the demands of growth on there.
What about something like page 93? I mean, this is the type of thing that we really, with the limited amount of time that we have in this setting, it's bothersome to me that we have to spend time nailing this down when we know this is bad input data. It really shouldn't be in here. It shouldn't be in writing. This is supposed to be a reflection of our collective understanding of what our go-forward strategy is going to be. So let's not pollute it with numbers we know aren't precise, or statements.
Can I follow up on what Rylan was talking about? I agree with what he said, and I agree with Steve, both concerns. My note was, can this be resolved by, one, deleting the 25,000 number in line, and two, making this a regional number? I know we're built out, but I would not dispute that this is a population that wants to use Trophy Club parks, all of them. Okay, whether it be this Little League, whether it be Trophy Club Park, whatever, I would be more comfortable that way. I don't know if that's reasonable or that would work. Meaning, one, make it regional, two, delete that 25,000. That bothers me. Thank you.
Yeah. We can go back and because honestly, this is the town's plan. And so what we incorporated into this is what we see across all master plans and ones that have been successful as far as, gaining those grants and those opportunities. And so we wanted to make sure that we have that data captured in there. The reason why we put additional data in there is because we know that Trophy Club is special and unique. And so we need to have information in there that guides us for that. Now, when we're talking about the standards comparison assessment, you know, we have two graphs in there that talk about acreage per population without Trophy Club Park and with Trophy Club Park. Those are national standards that they suggest, you know, there would be opportunities for us if we had room to grow to dedicate more land to parks for recreational purposes. Again, it's one of those things that we know it gives us an idea of where we're at when we look at the full picture. It doesn't necessarily give us that where we need to acquire more land or we need to tear things down and make it parks. It's just given us a realistic view of how we rank nationally with other organizations. So, a couple of the things, and we can take a look at those. We've made note about the population and those graphs, and we can make some edits on there if that is what we're hearing as far as consensus. But we did just want to explain a little more about why we have those different areas in there and then what's realistic for the town. So going through a couple of things, just real quick, we wanted to talk a little bit about the community engagement. This is how we've got this 200-page document, is starting with our project branding with our website, and then as well as stakeholder interviews. We did a series of interviews, not only with our associations, but other groups that use the parks and what they like, what they don't like, what they'd like to see, as well as our town-wide online survey. Now with that, a lot of times towns, cities will only do a statistically valid survey. That's the bare minimum that's needed for this. We wanted to go one step further and open it up to the town as a whole. As you've looked at those graphs, one of the things that we talk about that I've been really excited about is that town-wide survey lined right up with our statistically valid survey. So the one thing that told me was that what the randomized survey was saying was what overall the town feels like we need to focus on as far as those priorities. Other things that we did was, you know, as a bedroom community, not everybody wants to come to a town hall at, 7 to 9 p.m. because they've got to get their kids ready for bed, get them in school, get ready for school, things like that. And so we did some virtual engagements with our meeting in a box as well as our Trophy Club survey. The great thing about that is statistically we had more people engaged that way than you see at your regular town halls of coming in and being able to put dots on the board where they want to see improvements, things like that. They were still able to do that, but they were able to do it from in a virtual environment. So as we talked about that, this is a graph that's in there as well that shows, based on the statistically valid survey, that we're within that 10 to 12% range. But you look as far as shade, seating, picnic area, they're right close. The walking, biking trails are very important. Increasing the recreation programs as well as indoor rec facilities and expanding our community events and festivals. So those are things that the entire community enjoys, and we saw through both surveys. One of the other things that we focused on was our recreation program and our cost recovery. And you see some graphs in there, and the light brown on that graph represents what we did in 2024, and then the blue on that graph represents what our goals are. We did that to give you a snapshot of what's currently been done and then what we want to shoot for in the future. And as you remember, we've done a few workshops on identifying these cost recovery goals that we had a consultant with 110% come in, be able to rank these where we saw the most importance. And that was a great thing as well, because we saw common themes between the council as well as park board of seeing that open access, we don't need to make a profit on that. But when it comes to, us subsidizing different programs, looking at our recreation programs with that 30 to 50%, as well as membership passes and then rentals and resales, these target markets that are more your individualized programs. And the way I like to look at this graph is open access is for everybody, that we're going to subsidize those because it benefits everybody. And then once you get into your rentals, resales, it only benefits a certain number. And so we've got to make sure we either cover our costs or are able to generate some revenue that then filters down the table to the others. So as we talked about that, on this, the actual cost recovery was based on 2024 finance year. And so our signature events, you're like, well, why all of a sudden did that, pop up and we had a lot more cost recovery on that? In 2024, we had great sponsorships that popped in for our 4th of July events as well as our other events. And with those sponsorship dollars, we were able to, put money into the programs, and we had about a 33% cost recovery there. Now, that was great for 2024. We've maintained some of that in 2025, but that sponsorships are always so varying degree. So that one we'll see that goal kind of go up and down. But those are our signature events. So like our 4th of July events and things like that. One thing that I was very happy about was looking at our recreation programs, our swim lessons, those activities that we do that benefits and provides a skill that we're right on with that goal of what we all felt was a good recovery there. And then going on to membership passes, things like that, once this is adopted, we know we've got to look at our prices as far as, swim passes fees, annual fees, to be able to get back to that cost recovery goal of 63%, as well as our rentals and resales. So this has given us a good snapshot of where we are, but then where we want to be, and then it holds us accountable as we're implementing these programs that we're on target. So when we talk about Trophy Club Park, this is also one of those things that the last plan was done in 2008, which is on the current Parks Master Plan website. That was really just an inventory with a little bit development plan for Trophy Club Park. But when we look at the history of Trophy Club Park and the value that brings to our community, talking with John, the lake manager, my first month here, they had just finished their 30-year master plan, which dedicated our area as high recreation use. And they were very adamant that, with the motocross, ATV, the disc golf, the trails, that this is very important to have this high recreational use area. And so as we looked at, what can we do for this space, that we needed to create a 30,000-foot view of what we could possibly do out there, as well as a business plan of looking at what those fees can be out there to make it a revenue generating area that then could possibly in the future, once it's built up, help support other programs, projects that we have within our town. And so as we talked about that, incorporating more activities out there and just reorganizing some of our current activities. And so when we talked about that was review of our current amenities, the operations of that, as well as the finances, our conceptual plan, looking at operation, maintenance, what we need to be able to do that, as well as finance considerations. These are all things that are detailed further down in the later chapters of the master plan. And then also giving us a financial context of what we were. So there, with Trophy Club Park, we should always have that be a revenue generating area. In 2024, this was one of our worst years. And we've done some work that 2025, we've actually been able to generate some revenue to replace what we had to use and spend in 2024. So in 2024, the overall cost recovery that we had with the revenue at Trophy Club Park was 68%. The reason for that being was, one, we were shut down for 4 months because it was flooded. And then the other thing was, at that time within the budget, we had part of my salary as well as a coordinator's salary coming out of there. Those were removed for the 2025 fiscal year. And so this year we were able to recoup a little over 28% above what we did. And so we were kind of back on baseline for that. I feel very confident that where we are currently out there, that we'll continue on that path of being over 100%, and it's a revenue generating area. So as we look at that, developing a long-term strategy, as we look at, bringing more amenities out there, what can we do to help generate more revenue, but then also make sure that area doesn't become a area of cost for the town to support. And then also with that, we're talking 30,000 foot view. So these are just high level ideas that we've told the park board as well as citizens that as we go into these phased approach, that we'll have more community engagement. We've got to make sure that these amenities are what they want before we go to a conceptual design of that area. And then we go through that process just like we have with the pickleball as well as the pool project.
Quick question about the policy around dealing with the flood
Yeah.
situation, because every handful of years we have to take a hit. Some
Correct.
have been really bad. There was a policy, or maybe it wasn't up to the level of a formal policy, but there was definitely action taken at some point in the last decade to try and establish a reserve, like maybe a designated fund balance or something in that regard, to help with reserves. Do you guys know, is that still there in some form?
So, two things, that fund does have a bit of a fund balance to it, in and of itself, right? In addition to that, we do have I'm trying to remember the name of it, but essentially a contingency fund, for it, where we put, reserves set aside for, natural, for disasters, things like that kind of help us with that. And I think we funded it to $500,000. I'm looking at April, that's right, yeah, $500,000. And that was just the policy we created about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Now, is that policy for Trophy Club Park or for Trophy Club?
We are finalizing that policy itself, right, what we can use it for. It would be eligible for use in Trophy Club Park.
No, I understand, but I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but I thought it was for Trophy Club, not, so.
It would be for
It would be
for anything,
right?
yeah.
That's
Up
right.
to the council's discretion.
That's all I was.
Yeah, what I would like to see before, I mean, I think it was, I don't know what every year it was, but like a lot of things back in those days, I guess we recorded it via cave drawing, and so it didn't last forever. But their idea was that there would be some portion of the cost recovery every year set aside to sustain those down years. So that's something where we have the data. I mean, we've had the lease now for quite a while, plus we know the years in the past where it flooded pretty bad.
Yeah.
We can kind of look and, I mean, at least in terms of where the Corps chooses to manage the lake level there, the 50-year flood happens about every 4 years or so,
Yeah.
probably. So we should definitely build that into our recovery number target for this and probably be a little more conservative.
Yeah, have some money set
Because
aside.
we can't avoid it, right? It's
Yeah.
going to happen whether we went through or not.
Yep.
And looking at the designs, because that was so recent, I mean, that was one thing that as Park Hill was looking at possible amenities and improvements, those things are taken in consideration there, because also, we talk about the kayak rental areas in, I think it's zone 2, making that movable, that we can move it with the lake level, that it's not just a stationary area, and really making Trophy Club Park that essence as an outdoor destination, not only for our residents, but those that visit.
I may ask you a question regarding grants and
Yeah.
the TC Park. Having a area like this, does this add value to when you go out and ask for a grant so this particular park increases our value and opportunity for grants?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of outdoor grants. We do have a section in here that talks about possible funding sources. And those are allocated through the Texas state parks. And they are the organization that also does the federal grants. So they're the servicer for the federal grants. And having a plan in order and being able to then have an idea of what and direction of what we want to do out there that is adopted by council as well as park board, that allows us to move up that ladder to be funded. And so it does help us.
I guess I was just asking, this particular land being a federal land, Corps of Engineering, and they would want this to be developed, and I would just think that it would add to the grant opportunities.
Yeah, possibly. The grants are very competitive.
Yes.
And so to make it fair for all the communities, they have their standards in there, and those are the things that we're looking on. There's not necessarily, and I'll have to go back and look, but I've never seen, like a number that's like a points that's designated if it's being developed on federal land versus state
Right.
or
Yeah.
public land.
Okay.
One of the other aspects that is in this plan that we talked about, and you have a couple of graphics in front of you, is looking at our medians, because our medians are our most seen and used park in the town. When you talk about visitors view, everybody's driving by them and they are beautiful. And so as we talked about, what can we do to maintain the beauty of our medians, but then also put in line a sustainability of that. Currently, we have a lot of turf as well as annual flowers that we're planting and taking out, and different things of, throwing out in the trash after it's had their use, of looking at how can we incorporate, Texas native flowers, but then also look at blooming and make sure that we maintain the color within our medians. And so in your packet, you see through there, like what you see here on the graphic, which is more the landscape architect design. And we did ask Park Hill to give us some renditions, which is here on the north side, which is talking Trophywood Drive, that, this is what we're looking like, going to more of native Texas floral and fauna and being able to have more of that sustainability approach. And then we also, this morning, got a graphic of a median that's there by the fire station, which is more of this south area of what that looks like. And so this is gonna help our staff that a lot of times each year we'll just bring some continuity to our medians, as we'll put in the CIP budget, whether it's 4 medians a year or 2 medians a year, that then we'll allocate that design and construction based on this. And the great thing about this is we have a very dedicated team that, with the direction that Park Hill has given us, these are things that we'll be able to do largely in-house. But then, on a smaller scale, if we need to contract that out. But it'll bring continuity all across the town as well as the entrances, because that was one of the other priorities, was the wayfinding and beauty of our town. We want those medians to also match the aesthetic of the town. Any questions on the median?
When we redo these, are we gonna put any smart watering systems in?
So smart watering systems, we currently are employing different measures. We have, besides our parks superintendent, we have a dedicated irrigator that's looking at our meters and different ways that we can improve our watering. And so that will be a component of this, is how can we make sure that we're not overwatering these, and if new technology, whether rainwater meters, things like that, that help us maintain the appropriate water in those areas, those are things that are going to be incorporated to this as well.
So you're gonna stay with a manual controller system then still, basically, right? Because the benefit, of course, of a smart system is you can sit right there on your computer and I can go shut down everything that, for automatic freeze protection. You're gonna save anywhere from 25 to 30% on your water bill. I mean, the Highlands HOA is gonna finish rolling out theirs the end of next year. They're gonna save 500,000 gallons a year. There's an ROI on it. It's about 4 years for the ROI for the system. So, I mean, I'd really like to see that in there, because then, the other thing too, when you have a leak, you get an alert versus a phone call. I mean, we've cut down on the amount of emergency alerts we get, is, that, where it's run for 3 days. We immediately know if we've got a leak, a broken line or
Yeah.
something. So, I mean, I'd really like to see that technology, because the other thing too is, it automatically adjusts the amount of water just before the system turns on. It reaches up to the satellite, gets a quick check-in from NOAA, says, hey, it's going to be windy today, and it may not water because it's going to be windy. Or if it knows it's going to be extra hot, it actually increases the water budget.
Yeah.
So, but
And-
we cut our water bill 25%.
And as we go through the medians and we look at those zones, those are definitely things that we'll explore. But to say, we're going to incorporate this across, this is, again, all these projects are going to be over a span of 10 years. And so, we'll be looking at those times where we can incorporate those things for cost savings and,
'Cause you probably got, what, 50 to 100 controllers out there in the field? At
oh,
least.
more than that.
Yeah, and each
Yeah.
one has to be manually adjusted. Or-
I would have to get our irrigator in here and Sergio could explain the ins and outs of it.
Well, yeah, they are manually adjusted. All I'm saying is, it can be done off of I could adjust the whole town in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
About that, first of all, for forever and ever and ever, I wanted to see what I told Brandon, I call it like a playbook.
Yeah.
A playbook, so that when the median's getting redone, you go to the playbook. Oh, this one's 60 feet long. We're gonna make it look like this. Oh, this one's 30 feet long. We're gonna make it look like that. So this is great. I'm happy that we finally got to that point, and so that over time, gradually, things can normalize. And obviously, going native and drought resistant and all that is, anytime we do anything new, we try to do that. I was just wondering though, not all of them are irrigated, right? There are some that don't have irrigation at all, right?
I believe
Or is everything?
all of our medians
Yeah?
have irrigation
Okay.
into them, yeah.
What about, because there are some I think there are some areas that are like in the middle of a cul-de-sac looking thing type, but it's in there just
Yeah,
sitting by
we do
itself.
have
There are some
drips to the trees.
weird ones off in
Yeah.
the wilderness or whatever. So didn't know if that was. I personally would support adding irrigation where there's not. I think sustainably, if you do it right, it's worth the investment. So
Yeah.
anyway, just something to think about as y'all start to program that out.
Okay. Any other questions on the meetings? Okay. Fun stuff. When we talk about the 1 to 3 year, this is the table back in chapter 8 on page 165. So as we talk about, how do we read this table? How can the community read this? Over here on the left, we have the table key that talks about under the priority and the type of action you're going to see policy, program, projects, partnerships. Now, when we talk about the policy and the program and the partnerships, these are things that we've identified as staff and board of things that we need to put in place to help us better govern ourselves and how we deliver these programs, as well as the programs of looking at what our measured activity is, being able to identify and put measures in place for us to hold ourselves accountable. And then talking about the projects, which definitely go into more what we put into the CIP budget. When we're looking at time frame, to make it simple, we say short term is 1 to 3 years, midterm is 3 to 5 years, long term is 5 to 5+ years. One of the things that we'll be doing at 5 years is doing a scaled down update to the master plan to make sure that the priorities for the remaining 5 years are still those top priorities that the community wants to see. Because we know that we'll have changes in park board members as well as council as well as community. So we want to continually do a check-in, being able to make sure that this is the way that we are going. And then looking at cost considerations, I like to say this table is, when you're thinking about going to a restaurant, you look at the Yelp reviews, you know that $1 sign is here, it's less than 50,000, $2 signs, 50 to 100K, $3 signs is your 100,000 to 500,000 project, and then more than that is more than 500K. Now, when we talk about that, This again is at our 30,000-foot view. And so us being able to get those numbers, we don't have a full scope of, say, one of the projects that we talk about is the activity center. We don't have a full scope of activities and everything that we want to do in there. And that will get detailed if that's a project that we choose to go forward through a separate RFQ and design. And then once we get into the schematic design, we're able to get more finite numbers there. So I just want to reiterate that this plan is very high level, and that as we get into these projects, there'll be more community involvement, more input to get to those finite numbers. So that's why these numbers are pretty broad. And then funding sources, we're talking about bonds, capital improvements, and grants. And then the drivers are very important, because over on the last column, you'll see whether it's driven by the community, the regulatory, or the data. And so when you have all three, that means that the community survey, as well as the statistically valid survey, back that up, as well as our community growth data. So as we talk about that, some of the, we tried highlighting this like what we see in the strategic plan with the goals, which was to enhance recreation services, parks, facilities as fun, inclusive, and multi-generational destinations. So the first project there is, replacing aging small playground at Harmony Park. A few years ago, we did the big one, and then we have the smaller park there that's not currently ADA accessible. So putting in sensory elements as well as ADA compliant surfacing, shade to meet the community feedback for the multi-age play opportunities. That one we're looking at, small to medium. When you're talking about inclusive play areas, especially the pour in place surfacing, that's what makes the dollar signs go up. Versus you'll spend more on the surfacing than necessarily the playground equipment. But that is driven by our community surveys as well as the data.
So real quick, that already has shade.
Correct. And so, like that one,
I'm just
That's
concerned,
an
and
older
it's less than 10 years old. Everything there is less than 10 years old. So again, I'm worried about the precision of the input data here.
so the new playground,
The smaller one
the smaller one.
is that playground equipment and the shade are less than a decade old.
Okay, I'll have to
That's
take a look into
that's
that.
my kids are 10 and 13, and they've played on 2 versions
Okay.
of that playground in that spot.
Okay. Well, and based on one of the things that we did in the inventory section, you'll see going through what the current state of those are, and we have on a 1 to 5 scale. And we have all that GIS data that we'll be able to input into also what Matt has done with UTA, of being able to see what the current conditions are. And that was a high priority just based on the current condition of that space, which is why it was looking at, needing replacement here in the next 1 to 5 years.
It's just interesting because the one at Independence, what direction is that? West?
Yeah,
is
Independence
actually
West.
older and doesn't show up on here. So, it's interesting to me.
So on 1B, talking about replacing the playground and surfacing at Freedom Dog Park, which we know with that one, that didn't currently have support facilities. We currently have a porta potty out there. And talking about playground, because that playground also rated low on for condition assessment, as well as the shade. There's some tears, things in there that need to be replaced. And so that's what that project is looking at replacing that project, as well as making new elements there that just make it more accessible. One other thing that came out of there was also looking at the spectator comfort. For the areas for the baseball diamonds and the soccer fields, that we have very limited bleacher areas, as well as shade that's covering those areas for the amount of games and people that are out there. If you've been out there on a baseball Weekend, there's just very limited seating, and so that's what that one is talking about as far as the goal 1. When we were talking about improving park and trail accessibility and comfort, upgrading trail surfaces, widths, and grades to meet ADA and trail classification standards, as you see in there, there's a lot with our linear trail that don't currently meet ADA standards. And so looking at that project, that it's a very high dollar if we choose to do it at one time, but that's not what we're suggesting, is looking at a long-term of spreading it over years, because especially when it comes to ADA complaints, if someone makes a complaint about that, the Department of Justice wants to make sure that we have some sort of transition plan in place, and that we have things that show that we're doing our due diligence to be able to take care of those things as money is available and as we're doing improvements, making sure that we're adopting the current standards, which we currently did just here with Harmony Park. With the pickleball courts, we incorporated the new ADA standards in there with the trail, with the sidewalk enhancements and the railings, and that's why you see more railings out there coming down into the park as well. And then also completing an ADA compliant internal loop at Independence East and West by reconstructing the narrow or uneven paths, adding curb ramps, ensuring smooth transitions between parking, playgrounds, and fields, because it varies especially from west to east. We know Independence East has been the newer area, which has some of those elements, but Independence West does not currently have some of those elements. So it's bringing more of that universal design into those spaces. And then also looking at 1.2.E, outlining and establishing the plan to acquire easements or right-of-ways for the trail master plan, loop alignments, and establishments that, as you see in the trail section of there, we have some ideas of going through our current as well as creek areas of creating a loop trail, so that as individuals, you could be able to go into our community and not just do trail segments. Right now, we have very piecemealed that you can go do the linear trail, but then it doesn't really connect you to another point of the community. If you look on the trails map, we have suggested an entire loop that takes you to Trophy Club Park, Trophywood Drive, the linear trail, over to Lakeside, up by Beck Elementary, and to the high school. That creates a full community loop that people can recreate on. And that's what that is identifying. It's not calling out specific easements. It's just saying that as we go forward and look at that project, that we'll work with partners and organizations to develop that. Any questions?
Yeah.
We got lots.
On that,
Yes.
but we're short time. I will send in some comments and questions.
Okay. Now, as we talk about ensuring parks, trails, facilities are clean, safe, and inviting year-round, some of the short-term projects on here is, looking at updating our signage and making it easy for the community, which this is going to be a great project because we're currently doing the wayfinding project, that some of these components will work within each other. And then also beginning implementing the new median landscape designs over the next couple of years, being able to do different medians at different times, as well as installing park map kiosks and identifying areas, amenities within our parks, and that goes into Trophy Club Park as well. Because that's probably the number one complaint I get is, we don't know where to go, we get lost out there. And so being able to create a map that shows all the trails, as well as working with police and fire to identify those areas, so that if someone does get hurt, they know exactly where they can go, because the individual is then able to identify where they're at. And then also just overall creating and implementing a signing strategy. Looking at wayfinding points, looking at our parks facilities. If you're looking for pickleball, you know, you're going to Harmony Park. So having signage that shows where Harmony Park is, Independence Park, where these amenities are. As we look at goal 3, you know, this is where we talk about the activity center that ranked very high on there. We know we use it for our active adult program currently, as well as our summer camp. And so 3.1.a is talking about collaborating with MUD to re-envision the activity center, which we've started this last year, and we look forward to working with them here in this new year to look at establishing a long-term lease agreement and making it a hub that supports camps, adult programs, and as well as adaptable community space. And then also building upon that, once that's established, completing a full space plan and renovation for the activity center. And this is where I talked about that 30,000-foot view of being able to then hire an individual consultant to be able to come in, an architect to look at the building, analyze the building, its structure, and how we could redevelop that into a more usable space versus the current office layout that it currently is.
So on that note, Chase,
Yes.
to do that project, spend that money, would we not need a long-term agreement with the MUD?
Correct.
Currently, it's what now, 2 years from, didn't we just change that?
Yes.
But we're talking about maybe a 5-year plan, right? Or something. If you're gonna invest that kind of money, do we not need to have a longer-term plan in place before we spend a lot of money figuring out exactly what we need to do?
Correct. And that's the goal is at the start of the new year to get with the MUD directors as well as a committee of the council to get together, look at that lease agreement. I mean, my hope would be like a 20-year lease agreement, because if we're gonna make substantial improvements into there and do investments into that, we need to make sure that it's a long-term goal, because not only are we just looking at building, but we're talking about maintenance, operations, staffing, and those are long-term commitments that the town would be making in regards to that space, and so we'd need to have a longer-term commitment versus 5 years.
Well, on the plan, the concept plan, we have one where the visitor center, why could we not use that also for the activity center, multi-purpose?
So what you're talking about on Trophy Club Park?
Yeah, you got the
Yep.
building we're talking about right behind, but I'm talking about is like the entrance of the park, we're gonna have a visitor center. So why not just make it bigger where it also is, we got an activity center there. You can also, it's a great place.
So what that is in relation to is talking about, you know, ways that we can make Trophy Club Park.
Right.
It's an amenity that could be in that space because we looked at the floodplain. It's not necessarily saying that that's what's gonna go in there. We looked at a long list of items in there of needing some sort of outdoor classroom, whether that's enclosed or it's a partially enclosed. When we call it a nature center, I think a lot of times you can think of that as, oh, it's a air-conditioned, heated building, but it could be various degrees of outdoor classroom to, you know, think like a shed with the garage doors popping up. That's, you know, it's more of a nature type classroom versus an activity-based center.
Okay, well, I mean, I still think that you could, with that, like, for example, the active seniors, they could use it at the same time. That's what I'm saying, is multi-purpose. The other thing also is, I think it's a great opportunity for the MUD to be a part of this because, and if I'm wrong on this, Brandon, Dean, correct me, but Chapter 49 of the Water Code allows for the MUD to pay for items such as parks and recreational facilities. And so I think it'd be great for the MUD board to be a part of this and help, you know, pay for some of this. And I think the activity center would be a fantastic start, a new one, not take what we got and kind of stretch it, but look at a new one. So I just think it's a huge opportunity for the Mud Board to be a part of this plan if they can take a look at that.
Yeah.
And we're running super short on time, so I'd like to just take a quick step back before we run out of time. And I want to look at the pages that you're going through here right now, Chase, which are different, the implementation and strategy guide, right? And then, as you mentioned earlier, each one has a time frame associated with it. Priorities are blank. It's going to be up to everyone collectively to help prioritize this stuff. Just thumbing through the time frames, it looks to me like something on the order of 70% of these are 1 to 3 years or 3 to 5. But I see about 25 years worth of money to do those.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure that, I mean, before we adopt anything that is officially adopted, I think we're gonna have to work with the council and staff to make sure that we have prioritization in phases and timeframes adjusted to show a realistic implementation timeframe.
And
It has to be realistic in
Yeah.
time, it has to be realistic in financial support.
Correct.
It has to be realistic in available property, land development. There are a lot of factors that are going to go into this that are going to either make this go fast or slow.
Well,
And-
and to be fair, I'm not saying that necessarily as a criticism. I think
It's
one
not.
of the things
It's
we
not.
wanted to see when we brought in here was, let's see
Yes.
a menu. Give me the Cheesecake
This is
Factory
it.
menu, and then I'll
This is
boil
it.
it down to the something different,
And
right?
this
you
is
know?
it.
Mayor.
And it isn't.
Yeah.
It's past my lifetime, yes.
Okay, because we are getting down to last, I'm gonna,
So keep it
I'll turn some notes over. And the other thing is, do we need another workshop to continue this? That's one. Two, I'll cut to the chase. There's one item that's a no vote for me. And that's using the 2 acres in front of the town hall as parkland. That's a no-no to me.
Correct.
That's commercial land, take it out.
We can
Or
take
I-
that out.
Or I vote no.
this was done.
I have other questions.
The survey was
Nice, I
done
like the
back in
plan. Don't-
March.
Don't interpret that, but.
And this was before the small area plan, and so that's, just looking at the current vacant spaces is why it was called out, but we can remove that.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, this is a first workshop, Rylan.
Oh, yeah. that's what
Okay,
it's-
that's
They
what I
see
didn't know
everybody.
that. Okay.
We are not making any decisions. We have a 300-page document that he keeps thumbing through over here, and I don't think he's going to get to the end yet, but he might. But this is the beginning. And we need everybody to listen, to participate, to be a part of this, to question, but also to have hope, because with this, we can get this moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about.
I'll give you all some of my headlines on what I want to accomplish with this document to build on Jeanette's point. Number one, I want to have something that's of strategic value for staff and councils and parks boards moving forward for some significant period of time from now into the future. Secondly, I want to make sure if there's anything that is unrealistic from a financial or implementation standpoint, whether it's money or flow easement in the core or whatever those immovable objects are, that it's not in writing. Nothing unrealistic can be left in writing. And then beyond that, I want you guys to work with us over however many workshops it takes to make sure that if there's stuff in here that we need to get nailed down because it's important to plan in the next 6 months, let's make sure we address those as one-off topics. But then from the overall, we can take our time to get it the way we want it for
Following up
future.
on Ryland, I understand, we have a retreat on January 22nd. I don't know if we're going to be able to get this into that retreat, but it would have been nice.
Yeah, so my, as we have just a couple minutes before the council meeting starts, my next question is, how do we want to proceed, right? Tonight, you've had kind of an introduction to it, and my goal was to kind of see how the council reacted to it so that we can figure out what are our next steps forward for this. So seeing that you want to have more time, more detail, things like that, what I would recommend is that we hold something separate, not a council meeting format like this, so that we can kind of, through more detail, go through it. We could wait until the retreat. Staff could also look and try and find a date earlier than that if you'd like to.
I'd
What
like
would be your preference?
I prefer if we do it sooner, because there may be something at the retreat when we set goals and for the year that we want to put some of this into
Sure.
that. The other is the other comment is I'm looking at this, I'm trying to look at it as it's gonna be read 5 years from now. Because I know what's being said here today. Ryland's already alluded to that what the council hears it does may not be followed up.
Everything is always subject to
No,
approval.
okay, so, okay,
at
I'll
the
shut my
time of
mouth at that
approval,
time.
right.
Thank you.
My-
Steve
I
has
have one
something.
final comment, and it's the one I started with. The next workshop or subsequent workshop, let's relook at those population numbers, because I don't want to make an assumption of the numbers we talked about, the median numbers. If the realistic number is the water board number, whatever that was, the 14,000, then let's update the document as the starting point. I don't want to have bad assumptions going in for all these subsequent discussions.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock, and my assignment to all the council is to get very creative as to how we can find money to support this. Because there are opportunities out there that are available if we get creative.
We have a
get our-
lottery going tonight. Can
and
we
we-
take
Yeah.
5, 10,
And we get- and
15
if-
minutes, go
Now,
down to
Mayor,
7?
I
we
was
get this-
ringing the bell at the Salvation Army. Maybe
Oh,
I
we
could get,
could,
you know,
we could.
a little-
But
Money
anyway,
for the
there
parks?
are opportunities
park
out
fund?
there for us to support this master park plan for Trophy Club.
Yeah.
Great
So-
job, Chase.
So
Thank you.
next steps, would you like to have a workshop independent, or, just an independent workshop
I think, yeah.
Yes,
before we get to the retreat? The answer is
yeah,
yes.
It'd be good
all
if we
those
can-
in favor,
Okay,
yes.
we're in holiday season right now. Would you
I
like
know.
to try and schedule something before the
Christmas Eve at
holidays?
your house is good.
Or would you like to wait until after holidays?
After the holidays, please.
After holidays?
Not
Very
New
good.
Year's
Okay,
Day.
so early
How about New Year's
January.
Day?
Early January.
Early January would be kind of what we're looking at, maybe the
Yeah.
first or second week, possibly,
Besides, we can invite the residents to join the workshop, so y'all are invited to
as
come
always,
back.
yes. Mhm. Okay, all right, we'll look for some dates around there, we'll let you know. on
Okay.
that one.
Good job, Chase. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
At 7:01, we'll return to our council meeting at 7:06.
Got cookies in the break room, homemade for you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Gary.
push my cookies.
No.
Sorry.
It's 7:09. Welcome to the Trophy Club Council meeting for December the 8th. This is our only meeting this month, and because it's Christmas holidays, we appreciate everyone who is online, watching, listening to learn what's going on in your town of Trophy Club, and we appreciate you tuning in to this wonderful meeting. Thank you very much for being here. And we do have a quorum, and however, Jeff is out for the evening. We would like to have our invocation, please. Joel, thank you.
Let's pray. God, you're a good God, and you give good gifts, and I pray, Father, we'd be generous and we'd be grateful, especially this season. Remind us that there's people that have it hard, and help us to make it better. And bless the meeting tonight, bless our town. Thank you for those that protect it and serve it, and our staff, and just everybody that's involved. Help us to be good citizens, and we love you, and thank you for loving us. Through Jesus I ask it. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. Do we have speakers,
Yes,
Tammy?
Michael Lutz.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, councilmen and women. I'm here today to advocate for 40-plus Trophy Club families and residents and young Trophy Club athletes. Little brief update on kind of where I've been and what brought me here is I met with the Parks and Rec Board last week and been in conversation with some of the members over there. But it's in regard to the use of the baseball fields. Now, I caught the last 10 minutes or so of the previous session, and one of the topics was revenue. Well, I think I have a solution, at least for a small portion of that. So the reason I'm here, so I coach a football team, basketball team, and now a baseball team with an organization called Texas Edge. Okay, I coach the 8U team. We have 9 Trophy Club residents on my team. Okay, and in the fall, we went to go look at renting a baseball field for practice. I live across the street from Independence Park, so I see the open fields. I called the Parks and Rec Board, and they said, sorry, you can't rent it out, even though they're not being used. Okay, so I went over to Grapevine, called them, they found me a field, and I wrote them a check for $1,500 for one practice a week during the fall season. Okay, Texas Edge is now becoming a Trophy Club-based select baseball organization. We have 5 teams and over 40 kids. That's an average of 8 Trophy Club residents on the rosters. So I understand that the previous contract is coming to an end here in December. And after speaking with Chase and some of the other members of the board of the Parks and Rec, that contract has to be rewritten. Okay, in 2021, when it was written, decision-making ability was given to an organization and not made by the city, by the Parks and Rec. So therefore, there are families that aren't being represented or given the opportunity to practice on their home fields. So 2 things that I asked from the Parks and Rec when they rewrite this contract is, 1, undisputed decision-making ability goes back to the community, goes back to the city, goes back to Parks and Rec. And 2, that teams with 9, 10 Trophy Club residents on it who go to school here, who live here, who pay taxes here to help maintain the fields, have the opportunity to practice on their home fields. So I know that that contract will be rewritten and it will come across your desk at some point to review, to sign, to look at. So I just want to bring this to your attention because it is something that's important to a lot of our families. You know, I know it is for me as a coach. I don't want to pay Grapevine Parks and Rec $1,500 or $3,000 a month each season for practice. Multiply that by 5 and you're looking at $30,000. Us select teams, we do pay for field usage by the hour. So that's, you know, I appreciate your time, but that's what I wanted to bring to your attention because sometime in the next few months you will have this come across your desk. So that's what I have to say. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good timing.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey,
Yeah.
No, the cookies are ready.
It's an A plus.
I know, we can't get it turned off.
Now,
Sorry.
good job, baby. Thank you. Others?
Jim Thomas. Now my timer's not working. Other meetings.
My name is Jim Thomas, and I reside at 7 Meadowbrook Lane. I am also a current member of the Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1 Board. When I rejoined this board last year, I made it very clear that one of my top priorities was to ensure the Mud Board and the Town Council both worked closely together to ensure the best interest of the residents of Trophy Club were met. My actions and voting record since then have backed up this desire. Because of this, on Saturday morning, when I read the town's posted agenda for tonight's meeting, I was personally extremely disturbed by one specific item posted on such. It's under executive session, item 10B, that reads, and I quote, "Contemplated litigation and threat of suit by the Trophy Club Municipal Improvement District Number 1 regarding the town's elevated storage tank and other town-owned public improvements." Now, this is obviously a mistyped statement, for as to my knowledge, there is no such thing as a Municipal Improvement District Number 1 in Trophy Club. But I read this item on your agenda the same way I believe residents within Trophy Club who are not present tonight would read it, that the town somehow believes that MUD 1, the municipal utility district, is potentially threatening litigation against them. That is simply not true. And I want this council, and more importantly, I want any residents that view this town council meeting video to know this. On Tuesday of this past week, the MUD's general manager advised our town manager that the MUD had absolutely no desire to pursue legal action against the town, and that, if necessary, the MUD would be glad to pass through to the town any revenues contractually already in place between the town and the cell phone providers. My understanding is that this was repeated once again last Friday to our town manager by the MUD's general manager as well. Now, since this was done last Tuesday, I do not understand why such an item as 10B was ever posted to the town council's agenda in the first place. For all it does is imply to our residents that such a suit may be in process, which is not true. The action of transferring ownership of this elevated storage tank from the town to the MUD is ongoing, and I understand from the MUD's general manager that it is going well and is scheduled to be finalized in February of 2026. So please allow me to close with how I started. I am personally totally committed to the idea of the town and the MUD working closely together to further the best interest of the residents of Trophy Club. And I sincerely hope mistakes like this are not repeated in the future, because when they do occur, they imply otherwise to those that don't know better. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to address your council meeting tonight and to hopefully clear up this misunderstanding.
Thank you, Jim.
thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Others?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We do not have a community spotlight. Okay, working for others. Do we have any comments from council members that you've
Mayor?
been in? Yes, sir.
I'd like to remind everybody that next Saturday at 11 o'clock at the Medland Cemetery, Wreaths Across America we'll have the small ceremony and then put wreaths on several, many,
76, I think.
76 or something graves in Trophy Club that are veterans from many, many wars. Thank you.
Any other comments? Stacy?
Yep. This coming Saturday, after Wreaths Across America, I will be at the Walgreens ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. So if you would, please come by, donate $1, that'd be great. Steve's going to be out there on Friday, so if you would, please do that. The other thing also, Mayor, is I'd like to introduce a future agenda item for the council, and we'll label it Purple Heart Memorial.
Okay. Is that, you're communicating that to
yeah.
town manager?
I think our things require a second person to say that.
Yes, we
Well,
do.
what are you saying again?
I would like for us to talk about, in a session, about having a Purple Heart Memorial in this town.
I'm open to talk about it. I'd second it.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Well, it's not a motion on the floor.
We don't vote. We just got
No,
it. We
it's-
got a second for it.
If you have a second
I'm sorry.
support, then we
You're
can,
right.
then staff can prepare an
I'm
agenda,
sorry.
prepare an agenda item. We
I
can
know
go.
that. I know that. Thank you. I'm in the mood to vote.
Well, she voted
Make the
yes, so we'll put that down.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Anybody else? Okay, we do have a very active week, and so we would appreciate you joining us for the Wreaths Across America, and then I believe that Brandon will be speaking to our Wonder Lights this weekend as well. It's going to be a nice, cold, crisp Saturday night for the families and children to join us and have a great time. So Brandon.
Okay, so I'll jump right into that one then, the Winter Wonder Lights. Yes, so let's see, this Saturday, December 13th, from 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM at Independence Park East, we'll be having our Winter Wonder Lights activity. It's a free, family-friendly fun with Santa photos, festive activities, choir performances, vendors, and even more. So this year, our plan is to have a special highlight, a holiday-themed drone show, and that will start at 8 PM. Right, we invite everyone to come out for that activity. Also, we are launching a new wayfinding signage project right now with a survey attached to it that is seeking community input through a short survey open December 9th through the 12th to guide the design, appearance, and functionality of future signage. Feedback will help inform the project lead Olson as they assess current conditions and develop comprehensive gateways, monuments, water tower elements, and directional signage that reflects Trophy Club's identity. So if you want information about that, please visit our website. You can find information about that survey. We mentioned Wreaths Across America a little bit earlier, but again, on Saturday, December 13th, from 11 a.m. until 12 at Medland Cemetery. Please come and help us to place wreaths on the graves of I believe the number 76 veterans as we move into the new year. Pickleball court usage. Let's take a look at that one. I think we want to advance to the next slide, if anyone can. There we go. Just wanted to share a quick update on our pickleball court usage. Our park staff has recently completed an hourly review of the number of pickleball courts in use at Harmony Park. And our trends during November show that the courts see higher usage on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, with the lightest days being on Mondays. Additionally, the 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. morning hours see higher usage, as well as from 2 p.m. through 9 p.m. And on average, our courts are busiest during the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So just wanted to kind of just show this to everyone. It's kind of interesting information to understand when it is that the pickleball courts are in use. We've seen a lot of great demand for it so far. It's been very exciting as the community is starting to fall in love with our new pickleball courts. Let's see, board and commission meetings, a couple of them coming up. December 9th, we have the Economic Development Corporation Board meeting at 6 p.m. On December 11th, we have the Trophy Club Council for Arts and Culture that will be meeting at 6 p.m. And as always, we invite the public to come out and join us for those. Let's see, as a reminder, we do not have a council meeting on December 22nd. This is our one meeting for the month. Our next scheduled town council meeting will be on January 12th, 2026. I imagine before that, we'll probably have a work session though, just dedicated to the Parks Master Plan. And then for the Christmas holiday, our town offices will be closed for our staff holiday party this Friday, beginning at 11 a.m. We'll reopen on Monday, December 15th at 8 a.m. Okay, and then our offices will also be closed in observance of the Christmas holiday beginning Tuesday, December 23rd. We'll close at noon and will remain closed through Thursday, December 25th. As always, police, fire, and emergency medical services will remain in full operation. operation. And then New Year's holiday, so town offices will close in observance of the New Year's holiday on January 1st. And as always, the emergency responses are in full operation. And that is all I have for this evening. Everyone have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Now we can ask people what they heard, so.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Everyone
Thank-
remembers all of it, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank
That's
you,
what it's all
thank you,
about.
Brandon. It's good to know what's going on in the town. It's good to know the opportunities that all of you have to come and sit in on many of these board meetings. Come to your board meetings and listen to watch your P and Z in action, Mike. And be a part of the community. Thank you. Dean?
So there is a final, or a replat on your agenda, so I thought maybe it'd be helpful to read from the code concerning plats. This is section 10.02.068, and it's about final plats. First of all, the final plat may be prepared by a qualified professional, but must be certified by a registered public land surveyor by the state of Texas. Now, they have their own set of rules that they have to follow when they seal a document, and so we have to make sure that the plat follows those rules or they won't seal it. A final plat does not require a public hearing. You'll notice that the other agenda does require a public hearing. A final plat does not. However, action on a final plat by the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town Council is required at a public meeting. Now, the final plat contains information. We have a whole litany of items here. There's 18. Title or name of development, location of development, accurate boundary survey, property description, meets and bounds, accurate plat dimensions, approved name of right-of-way, locations, dimensions, and purposes of any easements or rights-of-way, and all building lines. So a lot of these things are very important details to have on your plat so that when it is recorded in the deed records, there is an accurate record of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Consent agenda. This part of the agenda consists of non-controversial or housekeeping items required by law. Items may be removed from consent by any council member by making such request prior to motion and vote.
Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll move to approve consent agenda items 3 through 6.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ryland seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Individual items. Case PD AMD 25004, PD 27 amendment, and R15 rezoning the trails. Conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance amending Plan Development District 27 requested by Foxwood LLC to rezone a portion of land currently zoned R15 Single Family District and rezone recently annexed property classified as R15 Single Family District to permit development of the trails, an 18-lot, single-family residential subdivision on approximately 7.603 acres, generally located north of McRae Street and Milson's Point Drive within the town of Trophy Club, Denton County, Texas.
Okay, it's 7:27. I'll open for a public hearing. Matt?
She did better than Mr. Biggs getting through that.
It's a mouthful.
It is. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I already got to do a kind of a run-through with P and Z, so I thought maybe there's an easier way to do this. So we've got this particular, the subject property, you've got two zoning districts. So you already have what's in PD 27, partially of this. And then if you recall, we had the annex section and then also the gas wellhead sites. So those are both R15. So what we're amending PD 27, we're adding this, we're basically taking this, putting it together, and then making it fit into PD 27. That's kind of the summary of. So we got the proposed rezoning will accommodate 18 single-family lots ranging from 12,500 square feet to 23,000 square feet. If you look at the example I've got here with the cursor, so we've got lot type 3 and lot type 1s, and this is all neighborhood 7. So you can see here, this is all neighborhood 7. So we got with the applicant, and basically we are tying this in with neighborhood 7 and then these two particular lot types. You can see that we've got 222 lots of type 3 And then one type lot is the type 1, and that's the purple section up there. That's kind of it was no man's land, now it's not. And we got PD 27, the concept plan. We've got that illustrating neighborhood 7. Okay, we're going to go through the application process now. So I'm going to go through the list of the amendments to PD 27, and we'll just kind of go in order. So if you had the original PD 27 sitting in front of you, we're just going to kind of go in that same order. So starting with the Exhibit A, of course, this has to be revised because we're adding acreage, right? So the new track F for approximately 4.88 acres into the town limits, and then approximately, and this is the Gaspel site, the 1.359 acres will be added into Exhibit A. Exhibit B, this is a project location. So going back to the original, this will just be adding into that neighborhood 7. All right, getting into, so in section 4, I'm just going to go over the things that that are changed, because it's 75 pages. And so we're just highlighting the things that changed. So under section 4, letter C, lot type 3, we are adding a second lot type as lot type 3A. All regulations will be identical to lot type 3 with a few exceptions. Under number 5, area regulations under garage, they are requesting from 30 feet to 25 feet. So it states the garage may not face street unless set back at least 25 feet from the front build line. Everything else is the same. And then we go to table 4.1. We basically added, you can see there where we added 3A, and we just added the line there that states the smallest lot that they have is 12,500 square feet. All the other summary and regulations are the same. And then we go to section 5. So table number 5.1 amended, basically we're amending that table. We're adding the 3A column in between 3 and 4. In section 5, again, we highlighted and we're adding a second or a third lot type, so lot type 3A, approximately 18 lots, and then we're increasing the 222 lots to 241. In section 6, under screening and fences, so this is new. You didn't see this when we posted the agenda. We've had a few things that happened on Thursday and Friday, and then finalized some of this this morning. So we do have it, Tammy, correct? We have it at the, each of y'all have these? So we are adding a letter D to under screening and fences, and we'll get to that in just a second. I'll show you the concept plan. A masonry wall with a height of 6 feet shall be constructed by the developer between the trails development and the town's trail pathway system, as depicted on the approved concept plan. The monument sign, a masonry wall, and the area identified as the 21-foot access easement shall be owned, maintained, and repaired by the developer and its successors or assigns at the sole cost of expense. And then under F, residential architectural standards, gifts to the street, they are requesting to go from 8/12 pitch to a 6/12 pitch on the roof line. And those are just for those lot type 3As. And then in section 7, the parkland open space requirement shall be amended as follows. If you go to the original PD 27, it's very long. We took different parts of that would just pertain to this particular amendment. And I'll go ahead and read it. The developer shall construct a trail system consisting of an 8-foot wide trail pathway through the drainage flow easement that connects the town's park sites as shown on the attached concept plan. the trail and the area where the trail is located on the side of Lot 21X that is south of the masonry wall as shown on Lot 21X shall be dedicated to the town upon completion of construction inspection and written acceptance by the town. Where the trail utilizes sidewalks within the development, and this is throughout all of PD 27, where the trail utilizes sidewalks within the development, the sidewalk path shall be at least 6 feet wide. The pathway plan on Exhibit F, PD 27, is hereby revised to reflect the new 8-foot wide trail path as shown on the concept plan for the trails, and Exhibit F of PD 27 is hereby replaced in its entirety with the attached Exhibit F to reflect the new 8-foot wide trail pathway. Mr. Biggs would have been proud. Okay. It is important to note that the town does not currently hold a pedestrian and bike trail access easement on the property to facilitate a connection on Lot 21X. Okay, so the concept plan has changed since when it was posted on the agenda. You've got that in front of you. An exhibit, okay, we'll go through those 3 lots. So we've got the 3 X lots. You got Lot 1X, 11X, and 21X. Lot 1X is on the east side, and I think we've got a, yeah. Okay, so down here on the cursor, so this is that area for the Lot 1X. That's on the east side. That's basically just reconnecting the trail system. They have added some reflector lights. We know that that safety is an issue, cars coming through. Right now, people have been hiking and biking on that for years. They don't have to look right and left. They just cross it. So developers looked at that and said, you know, for the safety reasons, we want to put reflectors. Of course, this will be on the site plan as well as on our final plats. We'll have things, but this comes out heavy on civils and site plan. Okay, going back to, oh, I can stay here. So going up to Lot 11X, that's up here at the top. The developer will have a private lift station. It'll be owned and maintained by the HOA. And so that is, the Lot 11X will have the lift station on that. Staff recommended them to screen that lift station, and they've got the notes there on this new concept plan. Okay, and then down here on the west side is Lot 21X. I'm going to go back to that. Lot 21X will provide an improved pedestrian and bike trail connection. The site plan and final plat will provide an access easement to the property west of the trails, as well as an easement for the proposed monument sign as reflected on the concept plan. There is an overlength on the cul-de-sac. It measures 1,060 feet. Staff has gotten with the fire marshal, our engineer, and the fire chief, and we do recommend allowing the additional 400 feet. PD and our subdivision ordinance says 600 feet, and but we're recommending, and as per the fire marshal, does not have any issues with allowing the additional 400 feet. And then we've got a few other items that will be addressed on civil engineering and the plating phases. So one, we've got the transition, the right-of-way transition, and I'll go to that real quick. So that's going to be down here in this area. So currently Milson's Point is just a cul-de-sac. So curb's going to have to be cut. You're going to add a road in. So those are some things that we'll have addressed at the site plan as well as the final plat. And then there's a number of easements. There's a lot. There's right-of-way easements. There's pedestrian easements. There's a lot of easements that will need to be abandoned during the plating process as well. And just as a side note, we have gotten a preliminary plat from the developer, just as a courtesy review, nothing official, but they're well on their way, so you'll be seeing that soon. And then, of course, the capped gas well heads. So there's two, and they're sitting right near the Lot 19, right on the property line. Yeah. So right in that area. So they have laid these lots out literally by these capped wellheads. So that's one of the main reasons why they've got these things laid out that way, is to make sure that the capped wellheads are on a property line that cannot be built on. Okay. And as we stated, so this is the concept plan that you've got in front of you. This has been in discussion very heavily in the last 3 or 4 days. And I do have a couple things. So we've got both owners of the property. We've got Mr. Woods, and MISO is in representation of the other owner on the west side. They are here. Mr. Biggs, unfortunately, is under the weather, and so he was unable to make it. Mr. Branham is here. He's our vice chair, so if you have any questions for him. Public notices were distributed as by town ordinance and state law. We've received no correspondence in opposition. P&Z reviewed this on November 13th, unanimously recommending 6-0. Town attorney has reviewed the ordinance as to form and legality, and staff also recommends approval of the ordinance request amending PD 27. And again, I'm here if you've got any questions. I know the developer has a short presentation just on the homes, and then I'll turn that over to, I guess, Greg or Kurt. Okay. Public hearing's still open, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see y'all.
Good to see you.
Yeah, just to kind of go over the homes that we're bringing to the trails, like we had already presented to P&Z on this exact same thing. How do we go up and down? There we go. So the two builders that we're bringing in here are Pinavia Custom Homes, and you guys know Carl Dean and Company Custom Homes. He also built at Falcon Estates, built an incredible, $1 million+ home out there. So I decided it would be best to take him. He already is very well known in Trophy Club, very well respected, and have him take almost the other half of the lots. So by doing the combination of builders, it'll give kind of a little bit different feel instead of just having the exact same looking neighborhood, because I live in one of the old Centurion American homes in Turnberry, and all of our houses almost look the same. So we were trying to build a neighborhood that, no offense to anybody in Turnberry, but everybody in Turnberry that I know agrees with me. We were trying to make it look very unique, bring the nicest neighborhood that Trophy Club has possibly ever seen, with multi-million-dollar homes and oversized lots, as you saw on the amendment of PD 27 to go actually bigger. But this is just an example of some of the, and I'll just make it very quick for you guys, but these are some of the homes that are being built by, like Pinavia, for instance, in South Lake and Westlake. These are the kind of quality products that you're actually going to see back there. Now, it's not going to be some of these, because these are $5 million, $6 million homes, but it is going to be a lot of the same product, interior and exterior. So,
What neighborhood is that? I have to add, oh, I'm not supposed to talk.
are you okay? Well, as if you didn't say
Give it a
anything,
few
I was going to
minutes.
volunteer the
Hold that
information
thought.
anyway.
It's the names of the roads.
Yeah, it's, so they build in Granada, over there, the Knolls, a lot in South Lake, a lot of different neighborhoods there. So anything local that's in Westlake and South Lake, they've got a presence in, as well as Samantha Springs and Keller. So, yeah, I just want to kind of give you guys a very quick example of some of the types of homes that we're going to put back there, the uniqueness of it, where, like I said, we want to make this the best neighborhood Trophy Club has if we can, because it's the last one, so we want to kind of go out with a bang. And I've lived here for 17 years, so I obviously want to kind of make a good impression on the town, not get yelled out when I go to the gym. So anyways, but that's it. Thank you guys. Any questions?
We're not allowed to ask.
We're not allowed to ask. I spoke out of turn earlier, so, sorry. Anybody else want to speak during public? Okay. 7:44, we're going to close the public hearing. So now, if the council would like to say something, and Dennis,
I just have a
hope that you
question.
do.
Based on previous experience from one of our other well sites, has the depth of the wellheads been identified?
I know.
Because on another well site, they were pretty doggone close to that bulldozer.
Yeah.
Okay, so just comment. Thank you.
We'll get back to you. I have no problem with that.
I thought you wanted to ask about a deposit.
Yeah, Dennis wants to buy one of your
Can
first
I
homes.
get in the garage apartment? The depth, yeah, no, the depth from the surface. That's right. Yeah, they were within a couple feet because they weren't identified before excavation.
I did not know that. Yeah, we'll find that out.
Yeah.
Well, what will be the name of your road that goes into your, what is it? Phoenix. Phoenix Drive, Phoenix.
Yeah, I hope not
Lane.
Phoenix Drive. We already got one of those.
Well, yeah, we do, actually. Phoenix.
I have a couple of questions, more just process oriented. One is we amended an existing PD and annexed some property to it rather than carving out and creating a new PD. So I trust that the three guys that look right here that are all looking at me, y'all have all read all 9 million pages of PD 27, and there's no dotted I or cross T that's going to come up later because PD 27 had, you know, a lot of stuff in it, right? I mean, this, you guys obviously chose the path of least resistance, I assume, to make it make sense and easy to codify. So no concerns about any leftover gotchas inside the depths and labyrinth PD 27 regulations.
Again, we went through it pretty fine tooth comb quite a few times, and again, that's when they came up with the pitch of the roof. So we're like, well, and then same with the garage setback, just because of the uniqueness of the lots, they're very deep. Some of them aren't quite as wide as, and so, but yeah, and again, if you look at neighborhood 7 and that lot type 3, it's pretty open.
They're similar, yeah.
Yeah.
The other question I had was when we're talking about the stuff you were walking through on your slides, Matt, with lot 21X, which is the lot that has the monument sign and the trail and the easements and all that. You mentioned an easement for the trail and an easement for the monument sign. So that would if the monument sign needs an easement, then that would imply that the neighborhood won't own the lot, because they wouldn't need an easement for their own monument sign, right? So then the lot would go to the town?
That's correct.
Okay, where is that written down in here that the lot goes to the town?
All right, so if y'all give me about 3 minutes, I'm gonna give you a 6-month synopsis.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right, and we've got owners that can come up, and so 6 months ago, Mr. Woods owned all of this. 7 months ago, it was all owned by one person. Mr. Woods sold off this portion in the green. When doing so, his intent was to give the new owner an access easement, but it was actually sold property. So it threw what we say monkey wrench into this. So that's been a lot of the discussion over the last 3 weeks, even between P&Z and this meeting. There's been a lot of, okay, we've got to rebuy this, we've got to deed this back over and all of that. So Brandon and I were on the phone with them Thursday last week, and it was probably the best meeting that we've had in literally 6 months, because all main people were involved and been able to have that conversation. So where we stand now, again, guys, if I speak, somebody jump up. Okay, where we stand now is this lower section, and I wish I could zoom it in, but this lower section
so we can.
below that masonry wall that has our trail in it is going to be deeded back over to the town. So the town doesn't own it, but they're going to deed that back over to us, so we have full ownership, maintenance, access, all of that. That's the cleanest, and that's what's, looking for what's best for the town, that is what's best for the town. So, in speaking with Dean, is we can't cut off access to somebody's property, so we have to give them access to their property. So, the area just north of this masonry wall is going to be the access to Mr., we say, Anselmo, AC's property up, I'm pointing like y'all can see what I'm doing with my hand, in this area here. So this is going to be his access easement to be able to get up into there.
So what your net here is you've got a common area lot. You've got an access easement to private property. You've got an easement for the other pieces there. But who will own that land?
Okay, so this is.
21X.
This 21X will be owned by Anselmo. That will be his land.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we have discussed is adding 20, is what may be in the plating world, and y'all probably agree, we need some kind of a lot of something, is on the plating purposes, is just to have this as lot 22X. That will make it a very simple for our notes. And the notes-
Which part would be 22X? Oh,
This from the wall down.
okay, so would that require, so who owns 22X?
Currently.
Or who
again-
will?
Again,
The town.
the town will, yes.
Okay, so where does it say, that was what led me to the question, where in the paperwork we're approving today does it say that the town gets to own that?
Nothing, this is on the concept plan.
It'll be
So-
in a developer's agreement?
Well, we
or
can add it to
something,
the developer
or-
agreement, but it will be specifically on the plat, on the final plat.
Oh, it'll be on the plat, okay.
And so, yeah.
I was just curious what instrument that would be in taking care of it.
So for reassurance for council and the town is we have the ability, because we still have the platting process. And so
So you can
we
split
have
it.
lots of verbal agreements, and this is what we're going to do. I think Greg even forwarded us the warranty deed today. It just hasn't gone through the process and been signed and notarized and all of that.
So
it-
basically, what that means is zoning will come in, zoning is tonight, and then at some point in the future, final plat comes through. Final plat will have a 21X, 22X with details about
Yes,
who's
sir.
going to own 22X, in which case it would be
Yes, sir.
ours.
That's correct.
Great.
Which goes back to your original question, is who owns the stone wall and the monument sign? Is it on public property
It will
or
be
the
on, it will,
HOA
it will
property?
not be on town-owned property.
All right,
We don't,
that
I don't
comes
want it.
back to
We
what
don't
you-
want it.
What I inferred that he was asking.
Typical, typical common area stuff for an HOA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you for answering my serpentine question, Matt.
You're welcome.
Other questions, other comments? Then we need a motion for this ordinance, please. Consider.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending PD 27
Okay, we have a second.
As revised?
as revised.
Thank you very much.
I'll second.
And Roland will second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Good job. Welcome. We're excited for
I
you.
noticed, Tammy, you didn't give Matt
You
the
need a
3
ribbon
minute
cutting
clock.
with your first.
He doesn't get,
He didn't get the clock?
no. We can change the rules.
That's great. Thank you.
He
Thank
said
you
I'll
very
take 3 minutes. I said, "Yeah."
Okay, next,
Item-
item 8.
Item 8, consider replat request on approximately 1.374 acres of land within the NISD High School Number 2, Block 1, Lots 2R1 and 2R2, made by the Town of Trophy Club. The property is zoned NS Neighborhood Services with community facilities permitted in this zoning district and is generally located east of Bobcat Boulevard and south of Maddox Drive, Town of Trophy Club, Denton County, Texas.
Okay, I'd be remiss to say, so Mike Branham did come, just in case y'all had questions for P and Z. It was a great meeting. In fact, the P and Z guys are great, as y'all know, but we don't get to this stage at council and not have very many questions because those guys vet it so well. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here, Mike.
Okay, replat. Proposed replat for NISD High School Number 2, Block 1, Lots 2R1 and 2R2 encompasses approximately 1.374 acres of land. The purpose of this replat is to establish a separate lot for future conveyance to the MUD for ownership, maintenance, oversight, and existing gated water tower site. Property is currently zoned neighborhood services and allows community facilities within the zoning district. This replat does not propose any new development, or does it change any existing land use. It serves solely to formalize property boundaries and facilitate the transfer of ownership for utility purposes. Staff has reviewed it, so is Dean, meets all applicable requirements as our ordinance and zoning regulations. P&Z, they reviewed it, recommended unanimously 6-0, and staff also recommends council to move to approve the replat.
I'll move that we approve case RP-25-001, replatting NISD High School Number 2, Block 1, Lots 2R1 and 2R2.
There's a second. Dennis seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Executive session. Pursuant to the following designation sections of the Texas Government Code, the Town Council will recess into executive session to discuss the following. Section 551.074, personal matters, to deliberate the employment, evaluation, and/or duties of a public officer or employee, town manager. Section 551.071, consultation with the town attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation. A, Trophy Club versus Li Ming Hu et al. Chi Kung Foot Spa. Item B, Mayor, this item contains a scrivener's error and should read as follows. Contemplated litigation and threat of a suit by the Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1 regarding the town's elevated storage tank and other town-owned public improvements. Section 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property owned by the town and related to the town's elevated storage tank.
At 7:57, we will go to session.
months' worth of food.
It's 9:11. We're going to reconvene into our regular session, and we would like to have a couple of motions. So the first motion,
We want to go to each item.
yes, I think I would like to do that. So I'm going to read the first motion is Section 551.074, Personnel Matters, to deliberate the employment, evaluation, and/or duties of a public officer or employee, town manager.
Yeah, and I'll move to direct the town attorney to work with the mayor to amend the town manager's employment agreement pursuant to discussion in executive session with a targeted effective date of December 14th, 2026.
Second.
Steve seconds that. Are all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. We will go to item 10, Section 551.071, consultation with the town attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation and threat of suit by the Trophy Club Municipal Utilities District Number 1 regarding the town's elevated storage tank and other town-owned public improvements. Is there a motion?
And Mayor, why don't you read?
Action.
Why don't you read the next item as well with that one? and
Okay,
those
that's
two
what I
will
was
kind of
wondering.
be
Okay.
combined together. Yep, thank you.
And Section 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property owned by the town and related to the town's elevated storage tank. Is there an action motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to direct the town attorney and town manager to continue the process of conveying the town's water tower and other PID water and sewer infrastructure as is, where is, with all faults, and with the understanding that existing leases remain active with the town as lessor until they terminate. In the interim, the town will continue to operate under the existing water ILA until such time as all the necessary steps are complete.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dennis seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. It's 9:13. I adjourn.
Why are you found to